Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And joining me today is, you guessed it, my faithful co-host, Sara Coryell, my adoring wife. How are you, Sara?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I want to talk about chocolate cake.
Well, we were just gifted some chocolate cake from my dear friend.
Yes.
Should we put her name on the radio? What do you think?
Yes. A shout out to Ruth.
Yeah.
We won't do the last name, but Ruth, this is awesome chocolate cake.
Always thoughtful with the chocolate cake.
Like double chocolate fudge with chocolate frosting that will just stand up and slap you in the face and say, "Eat me some more."
Yep. She knows you like it. Well, and when I was over there visiting, they gave me some like pumpkin pecan something with layers.
Was that good?
Yeah, they're just really good cake people. They're
Yeah.
and thoughtful and share it. And
I like pumpkin cake, not really pecan stuff.
Oh, it was amazing, actually.
Well, I love this chocolate cake, but only when it's cold. I want a firm texture to it.
Yeah.
You know, and
You're a
kind of
texture guy.
a buttery texture of the frosting with ice cold milk. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Oh, here. Let's get this on the radio so people can know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. Tell me if you guys like this.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Does that work?
That is really good. All the listeners, they can taste it vicariously through me.
Okay.
Of
Well, it does kind of work when you're sitting next to you because you can smell it, but
course, now I can't talk. Well, hey, we got a lot going on today, Sara. What's coming up on the show?
today we are talking to Mike Willis. He's the National Training and Programs Director for the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association. Then we'll be talking to firearms instructor Jason Patella from California, where we discuss the connection between crime and mental illness in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report.
I figure Jason's probably an expert on crime and mental illness because he's lived in California most of his life.
Oh dear. Well,
I hope he doesn't listen to the first segment.
oh dear.
Oh, I have fun teasing him about that when he's on. And of course, you're gonna like Mike Willis too. Super good guy. But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors: United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, Trinity Training and Security, and Apple Tree Media. All right, Sara, what's in the news today? I think we got a good one today.
Well, I'll read you the title, but I don't know if you. Man breaks into house while homeowner taking shower. Close by shower, gun comes in handy. Richard Weingartner's home was burglarized numerous times over the last few months, but it seems that he wasn't around when things were down. This latest burglary was different, though, as it happened when Weingartner was most vulnerable, in the shower.
Yeah, that's vulnerable.
Yeah,
that's about as vulnerable as you can get. Sara, do you know who Alfred Hitchcock is?
Well, a little. I avoided him.
You avoided him?
I don't like horror very much.
He was like the master of horror for like the last part of the last century.
Okay.
And they had this movie. What was that movie? Was it Psycho? At the Bates Motel, and there was this slasher scene in the shower. I saw that. I made the mistake of watching that.
Yeah.
And now almost every time when I walk into the shower, it's like I'll look around first and
Yeah, I saw a scene that was kind of freaky.
Toilet,
it was and at some horror movie.
It was bad.
Yeah, I tried just to block up that part of my memories, but it's a strong memory.
Well, but this didn't happen in this story.
It did not. Yes. Good things happen here. So, while in the shower, he heard someone inside his home. He quickly got out and called 911, while at the same time grabbing his gun that was in his gym bag. I mean, that's pretty amazing right there.
Yeah.
My gun's usually, by that point, locked in my safe in a different room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not really, this guy was on it. During the 911 call, Weingartner was struggling between confronting the intruder and giving the dispatcher information. Then he yells, "I'm being robbed right now." Weingartner said he held the man at gunpoint for as long as he could, which caught the stranger off guard. He tried to talk me into believing that he was a great guy and he wasn't here to cause me any problems, which I found odd because he already broke into my
Yeah.
house.
What are you doing here if you don't mean me any harm?
Yeah, this isn't how friends come to houses. They knock on the
Yeah.
door, they make an appointment.
That's right.
Just a few moments later, gunshots are heard. The intruder had run out of the house and tried to get away in a gray SUV. Weingartner fired shots at the SUV, trying to shoot out the tires. The fleeing suspect didn't get far, and police later found him at an intersection and arrested him. The suspect was identified as 38-year-old Jason Moak, and it would seem that Moak is the same man who broke into the house on other occasions.
Yeah.
He kept coming back to the same house. What did he?
Yeah.
Was he like trying to make friends by breaking into the same guy's house over and over?
Oh, I know what it is. They had chocolate cake.
They had chocolate
Really
cake.
good chocolate cake with
Okay.
ice cold milk. That'd be
Okay.
a temptation for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. It
We
really
should just learn how to make chocolate cake that you like.
Well, I just
Maybe I'm supposed to learn how to make the chocolate cake.
after reading this, I'm thinking, okay, how can I put a gun safe in my shower, so that I have it, just in case someone tries to rob me in the shower.
Very damp in there. I think you're just asking for a mold and rust problem.
Well, I'm thinking
You'll
about
have to
it.
get a gym bag and bring it in as
A
you go
gym
in.
bag.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want the last paragraph?
Oh, go ahead.
Weingartner has multiple cameras set up outside his home and recognized the same SUV from the other crimes. Can you believe this guy?
Yeah, that's
Same,
audacity.
Same guy, just
That
keep
is
going back to the
audacity.
same house, breaking in over and over.
Well,
And then tries to talk to the guy while he's there. What, just like naked in a towel or something? Oh, yeah, I'm totally your friend. If you were my friend, I'd remember you.
yeah.
I'd know your name and I would have invited you.
Well, just for future reference,
Okay.
honey,
I'm listening.
if someone breaks into our house and they approach you in the shower.
Well, after I scream them deaf, then we can have,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And
Well, if I see a man in the shower with you, I'm going to shoot him.
okay,
Okay, just
try not to.
all you guys out there, be forewarned.
Yeah, I don't think our listeners are
Stay
gonna
away
be
from my
that.
wife
No.
when she's in the shower.
Yeah, that's not. But they have to get through the kids too. I mean, I'm like, am I ever alone? Like, I went to go visit my friend today, and I arrived, and her kids are like, they kind of bounced up to the door, and they looked at me kind of funny, a little crestfallen. Are you alone?
Yeah.
My friend, she's coming around the corner. She says, "How's it feel?" Like, I love my kids. I take them everywhere, but this time my eldest was off with his girlfriend, and my
Yeah.
younger two were at a youth group function.
And I was deer hunting.
I was sitting
Yeah.
there in the parking lot watching the kids,
You didn't even have a dog.
I didn't. Yeah, because I thought I might have to go in the building, and then I didn't know what
Yeah.
to do with the dog. It was actually hot when we left the house, and
You-
so I was just sitting there for like 10 minutes in the parking lot texting people, and I was supposed to be working, but it's kind of hard to work in the car. Like, there isn't room for the computer. I don't know how you do it. It's like hard for me to set up a computer in the car. Like,
Well,
there isn't room, or
I'm
like
exceptionally
the
tough
steering
and
wheel
sturdy.
is where I want
Yeah.
to put the computer. I like this doesn't work.
Wow. Well, Sarah,
Oh, sorry. Yes.
if someone breaks into the house and you chase them away with a gun, don't shoot at them while they're driving away.
I did wonder if that was maybe not
Yeah.
the right thing to do.
Well, it turned out okay this time because he didn't hit the
hit
guy.
Uh,
But, in the wrong jurisdiction, you could get charged just by shooting at someone.
Yeah, because the point is to stop the threat, right?
Yeah.
And the threat had been stopped. Although clearly he was going to come back. I mean,
Well,
this guy was not.
well, except now he knew who he was.
I think he'd have been back. I mean,
He might have. Well, although he's really stupid if he comes back after having a gun shoved in his face.
Well, he kept coming back to the same house.
Yeah.
What did he think was gonna happen?
Well,
I think that guy must be like desperate for friends. I mean,
just because you're a burglar doesn't mean you're good at your job.
well, praise the Lord for that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, I like that one, and I thought you'd
Yeah,
like that
that
one
was
too, honey. What about our hero of the week?
Grandma confronts intruders with gun. Wins. I decided it's either them or me. Boynton Beach, Florida, a grandmother was faced with a hard dose of cold, hard reality when a man bashed down her front door. Two other men joined him in ransacking her place while she holed up in the bedroom. But guess what? Surrender isn't good enough. One of them came to her bedroom door, and that's when she decided she had enough. As CBS 12 reports, faced with nowhere left to flee, she took out her home defense handgun and leveled it at the first intruder who came through the door. I raised the gun and pointed at his face, she explained. I called them a very bad name, and I said, I'm going to kill you. All three of them started running for the door. When asked about how she believed her gun played a role in saving her life, this is what the woman said. I think it's wonderful. I think it's the only thing that saved me. I don't know what I would have done without it. I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. It was horrible to have three strangers in your house and ransacking it. I was very angry. It's like, how dare you do this? You know, this is our home, the woman said. I love all the words involved in that. I mean, I can totally relate to that, really. I was angry and they were in my home was
She's feisty.
She's feisty. Well, but she waited all the way. I mean, she did everything right. She tried not to hurt them. She was letting them have okay, and then they burst right into her bedroom. Yeah, good lady. After this event, she says she's planning on spending more time training and potentially getting a bigger gun. Go, Granny. Here's the thing. We always think training is a good idea. In hindsight, don't let danger roll up on your front stoop wishing you had more training. It's available and it's ready when you are. There's nothing bad guys hate more than a homeowner with a gun who's diligently trained in its use and isn't afraid to defend him or herself.
You got a psycho grandma with a big gun.
Not psycho. Not psycho.
The only thing she did wrong is she didn't shoot him.
Well, I think she did good.
Honey,
Very measured.
Tongue in cheek, okay. Yes, according to the book, she did it by the book.
I don't even
Use
think
the
she knew
gun.
what the book was. You know, she's just trying not to kill anybody, but then she's like,
I think he was angry.
Better draw the line
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here.
I draw the line at my bedroom door.
Yeah, and I think if there'd have been people in the house, she would have drawn the line earlier, but she must have been home alone.
Yeah. Well, I imagine she was surprised, and there was initial fear.
Well,
But
three
then-
men, and she's a
Yeah, three men against one
grandma. I'm sorry, you get weaker fast as you get older.
So, she retreated, went to her safe room.
Good thing
but
her
then
gun was
she
in
had
her
to,
safe room.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was good.
Then she had to listen to them ransacking her house,
Breaking all those things
Yeah.
that, of her
Yeah.
family and,
violating her privacy, the sanctity of her home. But I like her attitude.
Mhm.
There was a study done where they studied survivors of gunfights, and one of the traits of survivors of gunfights is that instead of fear, their fear was replaced with anger.
Mm.
And that's what gave them the determination to go ahead and fight. It's kind of like a bravery
Right.
when you're angry. Of course, when the cops come and say, well, why'd you shoot this guy? You don't say, well, because he made me mad. You don't say that. You say, hey, I was in fear for my life.
Well, there is kind of an overlap between fear and anger. I wonder how many people who don't survive it also felt angry, just were overpowered.
Well, I don't know. They're not around to talk to.
Yeah.
But this lady from Florida,
The brave grandma from
the
Boynton.
brave grandma, courageous grandma from Boynton Beach, Florida, who is now going to get a bigger gun.
And training. Good
She
lady.
get one of those, a Taurus judge or something.
I survived a home invasion.
You have a Taurus judge.
Like, I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I would recommend that to an elderly lady. It might break bones in her hand.
But look what it'd do to the other guy.
I'd like her to still have her hands.
Okay. Well, the training is always a good idea.
Got me. Can you tell our listeners what that is?
Sure.
It is a good one, and it's a little more.
Oh, your 22 Magnum.
Yeah, it's
Smith & Wesson 22 Magnum 7-shot revolver.
I think with a little.
That's a nice gun.
I will kill you if you come in my bedroom. I'm done with this now, and then aiming it right in their face is enough. That's enough.
This is not a social experiment.
No, and this is my house. You need to go out now.
All right, folks. Well, Sarah, that was a really good story. So,
yeah,
we don't know this woman's name, but this is the granny from Florida. Good job. You are our Home Defense Show Hero of the Week.
Yay.
All right.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Well, hopefully no more home invasions.
I knew you would like that one. All right, Sarah, what's coming up next?
Next, we're talking with Mike Willis. He's the National Training and Programs Director for the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association. Then we're talking to firearms instructor Jason Patella from California, where we discuss the connection between crimes and mental illness in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report. I think it would be interesting to know if this guy who was breaking in repeatedly to the same house had some kind of mental illness, because it does seem like
there's a huge amount of mental illness out there now.
Well, if he was looking for something to steal, he already had access to that.
Right.
And if the guy is home in the shower and he's been there when it's empty, just come back when the car isn't there. There's ways to come back when the house is empty, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If it's only one guy living there anyways, it's not hard to
the thing with mental illness is it looks a lot like drug usage, because in both cases you're not in your right mind. You're like, when you're on drugs, you're temporarily insane, and then when you're mentally ill, you're like always insane. So, all right. Well, in the meantime, God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back. Now I need some chocolate cake.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me, and I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
In today's world, safety and preparedness are more important than ever. At Trinity Training and Security, we offer comprehensive training for your peace of mind. Whether you're obtaining your concealed pistol license, mastering CPR and first aid, or engaging in scenario-based training, we've got you covered. We look forward to working with you in one of our classes or bringing the class to your church, school, or business. Need security for an event? Protecting your assets? Our team provides private security, close protection, media crew escorts, high security terminations, and more. Always with discretion and professionalism. With Trinity, safety is more than a service. It's a commitment.
He's old, he's cranky, his back hurts, and he can't remember where he put his car keys. But his mother still loves him. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was a beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Centershot Indoor Gun Range, and Apple Tree Media. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. And now I'd like to welcome Mike Willis to the show. He's the National Training and Programs Director for the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association. Mike, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thanks for having me on, Skip.
Well, Mike, you must be a very important person with a job title that long.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I'm lucky to do what I do. I get to work with the men and women of law enforcement nationwide. So,
well, I was just testing your humility there, and you passed. Okay.
You get it.
Well,
yeah, I've never been good at titles, so they just threw something at me. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, hey, Mike, let's start out by first give people, about a 30-second bio on what you've done with your life so far.
So I started out in law enforcement. I started with the police department and worked there for a short time, and then moved over to a sheriff's department where I worked. I was in SWAT. I was in training. I worked there for quite a few years, and then I actually came across the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association, who recruited me, and I started working for them full time, developing training programs for their nationwide training programs. And I've been with them ever since, been affiliated with them for 27 years now. It's been a great ride. The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit. The name's a little misleading. It started as a sheriff's organization in the 90s, but in about 2013, we transitioned. We work with city, county, state, federal, and U.S. military law enforcement nationwide. So I get to work with all the men and women nationwide. We provide training courses, officer survival courses. We provide safety equipment for law enforcement, and we do a program where we help the families of fallen officers with a donation, cash donation to the families. So it's a great organization to work for. Firmly believe in the project, and it allows me to work with the men and women of law enforcement nationwide. So,
yes, that sounds like you have an interesting job, fun job, and worthwhile. I'm a training person myself, so I'm interested in what kind of. Just give us some examples of some of the courses that you might teach.
Our core ones are active shooter response. So we get hosted by agencies or academies across the country, generally bringing in the agencies in those areas, trying to prepare these people for these active shooter situations that are happening more and more, and they're going to continue to happen. Everything from tactics to mindset that we're incorporating into that. That is one of our main courses. I also do a class on felony high risk car stops. We're losing too many officers to these situations at the end of pursuits or these high risk stops. Trying to safely handle these situations and also avoid use of force problems, because these are amped up, high intensity situations. Trying to make good decisions, not rush to failure. And then lastly, the other course that I've been doing for a long time is a class. It's called Instinctive Hand-to-Hand Combat. It's an MMA-based officer survival program. It's not trying to make them cage fighters, trying to let officers, if they get into a physical confrontation, tactics that they can survive the situation, get control, get to a better force option. But we also dive into, proper use of force, duty to intervene if somebody's acting inappropriately, ethics. Once again, trying to make consummate professionals out of the people we work with. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, hey, their life depends on it, and along with a lot of people in the general public. So that's good. Felony traffic stops. That interests me. I'm a reserve officer, and went through some very basic training on that. But what do you think are some of the mistakes that some officers make that get them into trouble on felony traffic stops?
it's interesting you asked that. The reason I started this course over 20 years ago is, and it still tends to be a problem now. People get officers, especially in pursuits, they get extremely amped up, get too close to the situation, and they're rushing to failure. After the end of these things, they're rushing up to cars, which a car is a barricade. It's a barricaded subject, sometimes with still a mobile option, that they're putting themselves in harm's way. We're trying to encourage them to stay back behind their vehicle, use that distance, use that cover to make good tactical sound decisions, slow it down, to safely call people out, and work as a team in doing so. A term I use a lot in training is don't rush to failure. We need to slow things down when we can. Things happen fast enough all by themselves, but trying to control the situation. We've had these situations where officers are doing this, and this came about where a agency that I'm very familiar with contacted me after they had an officer killed in line of duty running up to a car after a pursuit, and so it became a passion of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I like about police officers, is professionalism. And because, the person that you're pulling over, it's already, a really bad day for him,
Yes.
Even if he's law abiding and honest, for the most part, you've just pulled him over and he's not excited to see you. He doesn't want to see you. And, his day's all screwed up already. And now he might get a ticket on top of all that. But I think it's reassuring for the police officer if he can remain calm and polite and civil, then it goes a long way for de-escalation, I think. And as far as rushing into failure, what's it going to hurt to hang back for 30 seconds while you call things in, maybe get, help on the way, reassess, gives the other guy, the guy you pulled over, gives him time to think and collect himself as well. So that sounds like a really good class to me.
Yeah, and you see, even you said right there, you're dealing with good people that sometimes make mistakes. Your traffic infractions, maybe giving them a little time to maybe vent a little bit. It's not a bad thing either. Being a professional, just slow things down. Try to put yourself in and have a little empathy for other people's situation as well. Cops are just people like everybody else, but they have to think in terms of, what's the best way to serve the public. And sometimes that de-escalation is just letting people have a second to say their piece and then, do your job, but be professional about it when you do it. So.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of an old saying. If you can keep your head about you while everyone else around you is losing theirs, then you'll be the tallest person in the room.
Very well said.
Okay. But anyways, hey, lots of things that we could talk about that would interest me greatly. But what I wanted to talk most about today is, I don't know that it's a trend, but it just seems like there's a lot of police officers dying, being shot, even being targeted because they're police officers. That's just the way it seems to me by reading the news. But is that real?
I believe it is. We are losing a tremendous amount of officers in just this year from ambush style attacks, whether killed in line of duty or wounded in line of duty. There's been a tremendous amount. We lost an officer earlier this year, and his partner was critically wounded. They were simply eating lunch in their vehicle, and a suspect opened fire on them because they were police officers. There's just a lot of rhetoric and hatred been pushed towards law enforcement. There's this false narrative that they're the problem, and uh, unfortunately, a lot of people are feeding off that and tend to act on these things. So just for wearing a uniform, I think it's dangerous for them every single day. Recently, it absolutely, I have to say, disgusted me in California, where the governor pushed this law where ICE agents are not allowed to wear face coverings. They're trying to conceal their identity because they're being doxxed, they are being targeted. They're being called Nazis, fascists, all these things, doing their job, doing legal functions. They've been vilified, and once again, they become a target, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed a change, and it seemed to coincide. I know it's probably been happening gradually, but I think it was was it 2017 when we had the George Floyd riots, the BLM riots all over the country. That seems to me to be like if there was a starting point, that was the starting point where people just started disrespecting authority in general and police officers more specifically. Do you have anything to add about that?
I see that same time frame. During the BLM George Floyd riots, there became this narrative once again that law enforcement was the problem, authority was the problem, and it seems to have gotten worse. The rhetoric, the name calling, and it's been fueled by a lot of political figures, a lot of in the media, and they tend to continue to allow this rhetoric to go on and on. And that seemed to be, like I said, the catalyst that's really driving it, and it's not seemed to cease down much. It tends to be getting worse in some cases.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that really struck me as odd during all of this was, you can call them protesters, but they seemed like rioters to me. I'm old enough to remember, the riots of the anti-war riots of the 60s and race riots. And it's like when people start setting cars on fire, jumping up and down on top of cop cars, throwing bricks through windows. I don't think those are protesters. I think those are criminals. But one thing that we saw was, city police departments, actually, and even some federal agents, I read a few days ago, they would get down on their knees in front of the protesters. Um, I'm not sure what they were accomplishing. I think some of them said, well, we can try to de-escalate by bowing down to them. And I thought, that just seems like, a one-way ticket to crazy town. But maybe you know something that I don't.
No, I'm in agreement. These are riots. These are people often committing felonies, and unfortunately, a lot of agencies were giving stand down orders to law enforcement. And I know, talking to people involved in this, that they were extremely frustrated and upset that they were being told to stand down by higher ups, and which just leads to more chaos. And it's again this thinking that people are going to stop doing it. Once they're doing that, they're just going to continue to grow. And you literally had areas taken over in cities where people claimed that they're their own sovereign area. We've got to stop this. But honestly, unfortunately, the day-to-day patrol are often giving this from higher ups that you need to stand down. And believe me, they do not want to do that. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It seems like there's a political agenda, or they're just out there having fun, or or whatever. I mean, we see what's happening in Portland and what has been happening in Portland for many years now. It's like that town used to be a good town. My wife is from Oregon, and she used to love that town. Her brother and his family lived there, and they finally, a couple of years ago, they had to move away just because it was no longer safe for them to live there anymore. But it just seems like what you allow, you teach. And so if you allow them to break the law, to flaunt it and make the police pull back, you're subsidizing that, and you're just going to get more and more of that behavior. And it seems like it would be tough on police officers too. I mean, have we noticed a trend where we're getting more police officers retiring early or things like that?
Absolutely. We have lost in this last little over 5 years, we have lost so much experience from law enforcement. The people who had their time in could retire. Maybe they only had 20 in, who were planning on going on, another 5 to 10 years, said enough's enough. They're getting out. I just actually, wrote a little something about this. There's a lot of agencies I'm familiar with that used to have FTO officers had to have at least 5 years experience before they were teaching new officers. You're down to officers having maybe 2 years experience teaching. It's just, we've lost so much knowledge and experience because of the negative context that has been pushed towards law enforcement, and they're getting out. And now agencies are running shorthanded because of that. So
Yeah. Well, I that makes sense to me, because it's like, what parent wants to sacrifice their child to some blue run city that's not going to back them? They might end up losing their job, going to prison for doing their job. It's like, I would not want to be a police officer full time right now, just because it's not safe, it's dangerous, and the people that are supposed to be backing you and helping you and sticking up for you, they're not doing that anymore. If anything, it's the opposite.
yeah, and something you mentioned about the rhetoric that really is frightening is, and I'm just because they said it. You had the mayor of Chicago who recently referred to law enforcement as a sickness that he was going to eradicate. This is, of course, and this is the same guy who has full-time law enforcement protection. He doesn't mention that.
Yeah.
Armed protection, by the way, that is always saying these things. And once again, statistically, none of these things ever backed up. You're talking, some of these areas are the worst crime rate areas in the country, who have some of the strictest gun laws. They're standing on law enforcement, not allowing them to do their job, not allowing them to pursue, even foot pursue criminals. Nobody quicker than criminals figure out what law enforcement is going to do. If they say they're not going to chase after them when they run, they're going to run.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like dealing with children, to be quite honest with you. You're letting the inmates run the asylum, and we've got to get back to some common sense. But some of these people in charge continue to push these things, and that's where people need to start really thinking about what they want to do with their city. So.
Okay, so remind the listeners, what does common sense look like? I remember, because I'm 68 years old, so, and I grew up with common sense, but the last couple of generations, I don't think they know anymore, because all they know is what they've been living through. So what would common sense, sane law enforcement look like in this country?
Well, I think it starts with people understanding that you're responsible for your actions, and actions have consequences. And the no bail, we're not going to prosecute is once again just feeding on criminal behavior. Law enforcement, their job needs to be, once again, protect and serve the community. It should not be about numbers and just arresting people. But when people are doing criminal behavior, they need to be allowed to do their job, and then the courts need to hold these people accountable. I do not believe people are being held accountable for their actions, and that just feeds on it over and over and over. So,
yeah, well, again, what you allow, you teach, and the criminal mind Basically, they have made a decision. Okay, I know this is wrong. I'm going to do it anyways because it's in my own best interest. And then if I can get away with it, then, if someone who is amoral or immoral, they've already crossed that line once. If they're going to keep getting away with it and they know they're going to keep getting away with it, then it doesn't make sense to them to not do it. And in fact, even escalate that improper behavior. So it's human nature, for the criminals to act this way. So yeah, bad.
And they're predators. Let's be honest, a lot of these hardcore criminals, especially violent criminals, they are predators. They're going to take advantage of when they can. We talk a lot about an active shooter, about hardening targets. Who are they going after? Soft targets. We are allowing some of this to happen by not being diligently being prepared for these things, and whether that's law enforcement, the community, and once again, these people that do these things over and over and over, they need to be held accountable.
Yeah, because it seems like it's like 10% of the people are doing 90% of the crime. So why not just lock up that 10% and most of our crime problem just goes away?
That was said to me early on in my career, and now you're seeing where people are constantly get arrested. They're out within a couple hours before the officer's done with the paperwork. They're back out, and there's some kind of fantasy about social justice reform. Who is getting victimized is the communities these people live in over and over and over. And that's, often the people that are making these decisions are living in gated communities with full-time security details that are making these decisions.
Yeah. Well, this is the Home Defense Show. So, what advice would you give to the average citizen who has to go out in an environment and live every day where there are predators and violent criminals who are looking to prey on them? What advice would you give to the average citizen to help protect themselves?
I am a firm believer that responsible armed citizens should be out there every day living their life, but should be armed, should be able to take care of themselves, the people they care about. Obviously, we need responsible gun ownership, but they need to be prepared. One thing I say about active shooters when we're going and work with law enforcement, I can't tell you you're going to have one here tomorrow, but I can almost guarantee you somewhere in the country soon there's going to be another situation. We never know where these are going to happen, and it's often been a citizen that has taken care of, often a responsibly armed citizen that has ended these situations. Law enforcement can only be certain places at certain times, and there's a response time. So start taking care of yourself, start being aware of your surroundings. Think about these things when you go out, be aware of the dangers that you're walking into. So.
Yeah. That's a part of my business at Midwest Tactical Training. Is church security training. Mm-hmm. And that is it's just blooming. I mean, growing and growing leaps and bounds. I mean, here in Michigan, where I live, we just had another, mass shooting.
Yeah.
And then last month we had one over by Detroit. It's just living in crazy town here. So people need to get trained, and they need to get armed so that they can protect themselves and the people that they love. So, Mike, good talk. I want to have you on again sometime because we're just scratching the surface here. But before you go, will you please tell people how they can find out more about you?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Skip. If you go to www.usdeputy.org, check out our website, check out our programs. We have got some YouTube videos and such on a little bit of training ideas and things as well. But there's a lot of information on there, how you can help, what our programs are. And once again, if law enforcement in your community doesn't know about us, let them know. We are there to be an enhancement to help them. We do programs in all 50 states and always trying to look for more agencies that need help and qualify for our programs. But once again, just keep supporting the men and women of law enforcement and keep protecting yourselves as well. So
All right. usdeputy.org. usdeputy.org. Sounds good. All right. Mike, thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show today.
Skip, great talking to you. Be safe.
This is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll be speaking with firearms instructor Jason Patella from California in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, where we discuss the connection between crime and mental illness in America. But during the break, I want you to log into rumble.com and search on the Home Defense Show. I posted a series of entertaining and educational videos there just for you. Check them out, and don't forget to like, share, and follow. God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
The mere sound of his voice makes women swoon and men storm the gates of hell. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Appletree Media, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by shootingclasses.com. And today we're speaking with firearms instructor Jason Patella from the great state of California. Jason, welcome back to the Home Defense Show.
Hey, great to be here, Skip. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my phone here.
That's okay. Hey, I've got you now. Jason, I hope you're holding the fort down in California and making it more gun friendly.
I'm trying to.
It's a rough fight, isn't it?
It's definitely an uphill battle.
Yeah, well, it's hard enough in Michigan and I don't know, California. Beautiful weather, right?
Yeah, beautiful weather, everything else not so much. But you have some different things going on in Michigan right now.
Oh gosh, yes, we do. We had, a couple of church shootings.
Yeah, you got
Um,
some bad stuff going on.
yeah, it is bad. And that's my job. I'll have to be working on that, doing what I can here.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I do a lot of is I do a lot of church safety training. Um, and every time something like that happens somewhere in the country, then more and more churches finally take it seriously and get armed and get trained. And that's a good thing, like a silver lining that's coming out of something really bad.
Yeah, it's disheartening that it takes a critical incident to make people want to get prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, deciding to get armed after you've been mugged.
Right,
But,
exactly.
better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, now we have got, you know, boy, something really disturbing here. This is an article out of California, and I'll read the title here. Man accused of decapitating his parents and their dog in California. I won't read the whole thing because it's just too gory, but we'll go as far as I can go. Law enforcement in Southern California said they discovered a horrific scene inside a home after a 41-year-old man allegedly decapitated his senior parents and the family's dog. The suspect was shot by an Orange County Sheriff's Office deputy not long after officers responded to the bloody scene on July 10, the agency is reporting. He was taken to a hospital in stable condition and was recently booked into jail on 2 counts of homicide, a jail spokesperson told USA Today Thursday. According to the sheriff's office, the double homicide took place in the city of San Juan Capistrano, about 10 miles southeast of Laguna Beach. Officials identified the victims as Antoinette Girdville, age 79, and Donald Walter Girdville, age 77, both of San Juan Capistrano. They identified the suspect, their son, as 41-year-old Joseph Brandon Girdville. The couple's son, according to information from investigators, lived in a double-wide mobile home with his parents prior to their gruesome slaying. Just before 7:35 a.m. on July 9, 2024, deputies responded to a report of a domestic assault at the home and located a horrific scene, which included the decapitated and mutilated bodies of Ronald and Antoinette Girdville. Deputies also reported they found a decapitated dog belonging to the marital couple. All right, this is just nasty.
It's horrible.
There's more there, but what are your initial thoughts on this, Jason?
You know, first off, my thoughts and prayers go out to the responding officers that had to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's how do you even digest this?
Yeah.
Honestly, you have a son that obviously has some mental issues, violent issues, and and committed these horrible acts against his own parents and their dog, and then the deputies arrive and you have a short pursuit chase, and then they end up shooting him. And like I said, there's a lot of missing information here as well, Skip. So it was really hard to wow, how would I handle this?
Yeah. Well, Jason, you've already brought up one point that most people don't even think about. And you're approaching it from the point of view from the responding officers. Most people don't even think of that. They think of the poor victims and how sick the criminal was, but they don't really talk about what it does to police officers that have to respond to things like this. You're talking about two people with their heads cut off and a dog. I can't even imagine having to see that in real life. And it wouldn't even be not just the sights, but the smells. Those images are there for the rest of their life. And that's like going to Iraq and, having people blown up around you and scraping body parts off the pavement. You're talking, these cops could have some major PTSD problems in the future.
I think in the long run, that's highly possible. Again, it depends how they cope with it. But just the initial, and I'll kind of talk about something. I responded to a call where the adult son had stabbed his mother to death in their apartment.
Oh, wow.
And it was like the worst crime scene I've ever seen. It was blood everywhere, not to get graphic. And he walked outside and, gave up. Um, but it's almost like how are, you're processing this information. You're not thinking about, the totality of what actually happened. You're just like, wow, this is really happening right now. So I can't imagine. I've never been to a call where there's been decapitations or anything like that, but that's just brutal.
Hmm. Yeah, it just seems to me, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll think things like, well, it can't get any worse than this. But you should never ever say that or think that because it seems like it can always get worse. And it seems to be, and it's not just California. Okay. I pick on California a little bit, but I mean, you see what's happening in Michigan and all over the country. There's just all kinds of craziness happening in our culture here. It's a systemic problem, I think, a multi-generational problem. And I don't know. I guess I think mental illness, it just, how can you look at something like this and say, well, this man wasn't mentally ill. He he had to be mentally ill to do things like this because I can't even wrap my head around this kind of stuff.
Right. And the average person, the sane person be like, how do you even do that? I mean, what bad things are going on in your head to make you want to do something so horrific?
Yeah.
Which is just the underlying, there's mental health issues there. Um, and how do you fix that? You can't fix it unless, people know about it that can help you. Um, yeah, it's, man, I don't like this article you picked this time.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
sorry.
horrible. I'm
Well,
being sarcastic, but it was a lot.
well, it was either this article or the one where the fireman saved two baby kittens.
Okay, this one was better than that one.
Yeah, okay, okay. Well,
uh, but again, there's so much on the backside that we don't know, how, why was he living with his parents? Was there past calls for service for domestic, disturbances there? Did he try to, come after the deputy? What caused the shooting? There's just so much that's just kind of like an empty void.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And, when something like this happens, we do big investigations and we try to find out a motive. Everybody asks why. The public wants to know why. The news people, they want to know why. The doctors want to know why. Law enforcement wants to know why. And I guess the hope is if we knew why people did these things, then maybe that's a starting point for trying to make sure it doesn't happen anymore. But we've been trying to figure out why people do crazy things for how long now? Uh,
Yeah, forever.
yeah,
And I think the biggest problem from, say, a law enforcement perspective, that what I've seen, and I still see it, is our mental health system has failed.
yeah.
Getting help to these people. I've brought people into, they say they want to hurt themselves or kill themselves or whatever. I'll take them into mental health and do what we call a 5150 hold on them, and usually that's a 72-hour hold minimum. So they can do evaluation, and then I will drop them off, put them in their custody, and I will leave, and not even a half an hour later, they're out walking.
Wow.
So they let them loose. And I was like, how does this happen? And one occasion, an officer did that, and the guy made it back to the bridge and jumped off the bridge and killed himself. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't understand why, things like that happen when we have, the mental health facilities and all these professionals, but obviously they're not doing their job.
Yeah. 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 Well, psychology, sociology, we call those the soft sciences, because I think a lot of times they don't know why. And they're not dealing with, the elements, where they can run the scientific method and run a test and repeat everything. Everything is predictable with math and science and all of that. But with psychology, it's
Yeah,
not
there's
predictable at all.
no, you have no idea. I mean, that one minute they can be totally off the rocker, next minute like, no, I'm fine. No, I don't want to hurt myself. No, everything's cool.
Yeah.
And that's all they have to go off of.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've been seeing it a lot the last couple of years, and I don't see it getting any better because it just seems like the last couple of generations we have been, I don't know, creating or raising people that seem to be very brittle, psychologically brittle, just not as tough as they used to be, or desensitized. Um, you know, Yeah, well, desensitized to things like, cutting the heads off your parents. I mean, that's just
That's
that's just
demons right there. That is just
yes.
demons.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's a
but
spiritual component to it as well.
yeah, that I mean, obviously God's not in not in their picture. Um, but also, I was doing, with all these active shooters and stuff, and I was reading in on it, and almost every active shooter or somebody that had some kind of craze like that that's mentally ill they all had one thing in common, and they were all on medications.
Ah, the psychotropic medications.
Yes, it was, and I forget what the medications were, but it was all, psychological medications.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I think people are just, one, they're over medicated. They're treating the symptoms,
Hmm.
or, of what's going on, but they're not treating the problem.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but that's just that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, for lack of a clinical term, crazy people have been around, for forever, for a long, long time, but not to this degree. It seems like so. Um, hey, we're probably going to have more articles like this in the future, but I'll try to give them to the guy from Arizona. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, you're fine. I want to talk about the article, but there's really wasn't a lot to talk about other than the mental health of the
Right.
guy that did it, because there is no motive to it. There's no, why did the officer or the deputy shoot him? We don't know. So
Yeah.
there is really not a lot to talk about that, but there's definitely a lot of inside or discussion that we can have about like the mental health and, um, you know, what officers go through when they see that and how you can prepare when, if that does happen.
Well, these things, they're just gonna keep happening, and we're gonna have to deal with it. I guess for the listener, the thing is, it doesn't to us, the people who are living in this society, it doesn't really matter so much why people are doing what they're doing, if you don't survive. So for what I see here is, one, you have to have some means of protection just in case you run across one of these brittle, evil, people. And then one common theme that I see is, according to FBI crime stats, over 80% of murder victims knew their attacker. So you don't usually get murdered by a stranger. You usually get murdered by someone that you know, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, a family member. And so you just have to be very judicious about who you let into your life. And when you let crazy people into your life gets crazy. That's like the rule of the universe, I think.
Yeah, I keep your circle small. That's
Yes.
my saying. So but then again, you look at how many of these incidents are taking place, this was like inside their residence, but imagine
Yes.
being outside, and for example, the one that was all over the news where that girl got stabbed on the subway by the guy
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
behind her.
Yeah.
That stuff happens and it unfolds in front of you. And what was everybody doing there? Nobody wanted to help. Nobody did
I
anything.
know.
And I felt so bad for that girl. Like, though they weren't going to be able to save her life, but they could have tried,
Yeah.
or they could have, subdued him or did something, just do something, and that's today's society. And it's sickening.
Well, my personal opinion is that we have developed a godless society, and if there is no God, there's no afterlife. If there's no afterlife, there's no punishment after after you die, and there's no meaning to life at all. So we're living in a nihilistic society, and if there's no meaning to life, what's the point? You can do anything that you want to anybody if life has no meaning, value, and purpose.
I 100% agree with that. Absolutely.
Well, hey, we figured it out. Kind of.
Kind of. People
right.
need Jesus in their lives.
Yes, they do. They do. All right. Well, hey, before you go, tell people how they can find out more about you, Jason.
So you can go to my website. It's pillartraining.net. I do firearms training all over the United States. If you want to host me, you can get a hold of me through there, or Instagram is pillar_training_institute_ at Instagram. You can DM me there.
All righty. That sounds great. Well, Jason, thank you very much for being on Home Defense Show today. And next time I'll have something happy and warm and fuzzy for you. How's that?
That sounds good, Skip. Thank you so much.
A kinder, gentler homicide. How's that?
Yeah, let's have something nice. That'd be a change.
All right, folks. That about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsors, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, Apple Tree Media for website security, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. All right, I've written 20-plus books, and they're all available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my apocalyptic novel, The Mad American series. I think you'll like it. And also check out the Home Defense Show videos on Rummel.com. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Please join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!